Hey guys, welcome back. It is your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and I'm here with a quick one for you. We have Battlefield Commander World War II by Microprose Games. Now, technically, yes, they did send me a code for this game, but I'd actually got it previously, or the demo, so I played it a little bit, and then I came back and I tried it again later. So I've had a couple of experiences with this game, and what's the best way to describe this one? It's RTS like. So you do control your units like an RTS style game, real time strategy, overhead view, isometric, the whole deal, looking down on a 3D battlefield. Now these are going to be square battlefields, and it's got different maps, but there's only a smaller selection of maps that's going to vary based on where your battle's taking place. And it can take place either in just a scenario, right? You can just do a basic scenario, points versus points, or you can do this campaign style game that they have going on. So first we'll talk about the campaign, then we'll talk about the scenarios, and then we'll do the little basics of the game. Now the campaign shows a small, well, it's a large selection, but it's a small number of hexes. And it's pretty much kind of mid of World War II. And you can't really place the time frame because the units involved aren't really from a specific time frame. There's all the units. So there's Tiger 2s in this thing all the way down to, the early style Panzers. So you can't really peg it and say this is the time frame. It's just, I don't know, middle-ish of World War II. And when you're looking at the campaign map, you've got big red swatch on the right, big grayish area on the left, German, Soviets clash in the center. And when it comes to the campaign's rather basic is the best way to put it. There are stacks of units, but it's not really stacks of units, it's stacks of points. So you'll see a number underneath whatever the symbol is, German cross or the Soviet hammer. And those stacks will have X number of points, 200 points, 300 points, 800 points, whatever it is. And those stacks can move around the map and they can join together and create a larger one, or you can separate them out into smaller ones, just depending on what you're trying to do. And on top of that, you have a few key points like factory areas, like your headquarter areas. And these areas will produce new point stacks for you. So you can produce X amounts of points per turn. You can improve some of these factory areas, as I like to think of them. And it appears each side has like their capital. So you got like Moscow over here, you got Berlin over here. Those are gold star factory areas. They produce like 300 points each. And then you've got some smaller ones across the map that are producing so many points. But the way I keep saying points because that's the only way you can really think about this. You'll have one side that has a turn. It's going to move units around. Any movements that create German and Soviet units together will cause a battle to take place. And however many points you have there is how many you get to spend in the coming battle, right? So if the Soviets have 500 points and the Germans have 200 points, then that's what you get to use to purchase units for that battle. And whichever side wins takes the hex and so on. So that works very basic. So that brings us into the battle maps, and everything I'm going to say here pretty much applies to either the campaign battles or the standalone battles. Either way, the combat's going to work the same. It's not really different in the campaign. It's just going to vary based on how many points you have attacking a hex or defending in the hex. Will choose the point values, or if you do a standalone scenario, you can either choose, or it's going to have X amount of points for either side, same amount, different amount, whatever the case is. So this is going to bring you to a battle on a square-shaped map, and it's three-sided, left, center, and right, and the same thing for the opponent, left, center, and right. And you can choose to spend points to bring units onto any one of those three areas. So if you spend 100 points worth buying units on the left, 100 points of units, they're going to come onto the map. Same in the center, same on the right. Now I found it worked kind of better to just kind of pick a side and put all your points there, because all you're doing when you spread your units out is dividing your forces. There's not really any control points. Now, I'm not saying there's none for sure, but I didn't find any. It's pretty much a battle to fight it out. Whoever kills the most pretty much wins. And this is where the combat kind of goes more towards close combat, that older game, if you guys have played that one before, and the way that it plays out. But here's where the game really broke down for me. And it's in this battle phase. Like I said, you want to put all your units on that one side because it seemed to be better to concentrate your forces. And every match that I played, I found out that it was easier to win if I just stayed on the defense. Because anytime I tried to push and make an attack, the units ended up getting wiped out. I would get spotted very quickly. I would get shot very quickly. It seemed like the enemy shots were laser guided and mine were all random shots. And I get it. There's reconnaissance, right? You got to get the right units in place and maybe move some infantry forward, creep them forward so they can see the enemy. And of course, you do have options to slow crawl, to quick move, to try to move into some cover, to attack once you see the enemy, all this usual stuff. So it seemed like unless I was able to hit them with overwhelming force by having some units off to the side getting shot up while a different unit was attacking the enemy to actually get the shots off, I was never able to win. For example, there's one match I played, and I think I might have some background footage of it, but there was this one enemy tank destroyer that I kept trying to get, and I just could not pop this thing to save my life. And there were a couple of times where I was able to flank it, right? Because I think it was SU-122, it has a directional shot. It can move its gun just a little bit in the front, but if it wanted to turn and fire, that's a tank destroyer. It has to turn its treads and aim. So if you have a tank that's able to get to its side, you should be able to get a shot off much quicker than the tank destroyer could. And it didn't matter. It never mattered. I would have a tank there and I'm clicking. I'm like, fire, 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 fire. And it would either, my tank would stop, fire, and miss, or just stop and sit there and not fire and get popped. I could never get them.
Bewegung ausgeführt. Los geht's. Angriff. Bewegung ausgeführt. In Position. Wir haben einen Panzer verloren.
There's something off with the battle. I could only succeed if I would be defensive. And even that, it came down to where it felt very timed. In that one match, for example, I picked a tree line and I just lined all my units up in this tree line and I let the enemy come at me. And there was some initial waves. I took those waves out and then it just stopped. Nothing happened for minutes. No enemy encroached, no probe attacks, nothing. I'm just sitting there waiting. So finally I start pushing forward a little bit and I ended up coming in contact with the enemy, and the enemy's just sitting there waiting, just like I'm doing, and they're not doing anything. And then it would hit, because these matches last for roughly 15 minutes. So in the initial burst, you'd have some units coming in from the enemy, and then they would stop. And then at like 10 minutes, they'd start coming in again, and then they'd stop. And then the last 5 minutes, if the enemy's behind, then they're going to continue trying to push up on you, and they'll make like this last ditch push to try to swing things in their favor. But the AI just wasn't that good. It wasn't. It always seemed like I was better off just to pick some defensive position, put my units in it, because at least that way, as the enemy came at me, I would be able to have the benefit of being in position, have some cover, and hopefully see them before they see me so I could get 1 or 2 shots off and get them. And even then, I still didn't always succeed, but it tended to work way better than attacking. Attacking just never worked for me in this game. And that brings us back to the point structure of it. the reason I can't time this game to some point of the war is, like I said, every unit's available. Well, most part. I mean, all the typical units that you would expect. So you've got Tigers, Tiger 2s, Panthers, Panzer 4s, Panzer 3, all the different stuff, right? And it's the same thing on the Soviet side. They had, SU-122s all the way down to T-70s, all the different types of infantry. So pretty much all the typical stuff you would think of for a faction to have during World War II is all available to you. There's no real build up to anything. When you start either a campaign or a scenario, you can buy straight away the best stuff. Now, of course, the best stuff costs the most points. And I found for me, it actually worked better kind of going mid-grade on the tanks. Pick some, Panzer 4s, maybe a few Panthers to try to help it out. But even the Tiger 2s were getting popped. So if I could get 4 Panzer 4s for the cost of 2, Tiger 2s, I was better off getting the Panzer 4s, because I was getting more units out of it. And it seemed to be kind of similar with the infantry. The Germans, for example, had SS units. They're supposed to be kind of the upgraded version. They cost a few more points than the regular Wehrmacht troops, but I didn't really find that they performed all that much better. They might have been a few statistical points better, as far as the game algorithms go, but they really didn't perform that much better to be worth the extra points. Which in a way, I think kind of lends the benefit to the Soviet units, because they buy more units per point spent, for their forces versus the German forces. So ultimately, when it comes to the game, I think the graphics are really good. I think the sound, for the most part, is really good. The graphics look great, especially when you zoom in. You're getting that good effects, good graphics for a battle game, a real-time strategy game, right? Some stuff gets destroyed, ground gets cratered, you can hear the explosions as the cannons fire. All that is serviceable, and I didn't have any technical problems with the game. No crashes, no glitches, nothing that I found thus far. The best I can say, though, about the game is it's rather just mid. There's nothing that's just standing out at me as like really good at this game. It's not bad, but it's just not great either. It's not an expensive game at $20. That's not much. But even still at $20, I'd still rate this game as a wait for a sale. And I hate saying that because Microprose puts out some really good stuff, but this one is just, it's not doing anything special for me. It's not really jumping out at me. Like I said, the campaign's very basic in how the combat's going to play out. You're literally just moving points across the board. It's not even like you've got an armored stack up here and some infantry regiments down here. It's just points, and those points can be anything. So there's no real benefit about moving stuff around. It's better to just make a big blob so you have the most points available, maybe make 2 or 3 blobs so you can overwhelm a couple of the enemy's smaller blobs and push forward onto them. All right, it seems to be the best tactic for the campaign game, and that also translates down into the actual battlescape itself. It seems better to blob up, hit a defensive line, and then just blow their stuff away as it moves towards you, which isn't really the tactical gameplay that I think we're all looking for. I do hope this one gets some updates to kind of tweak things and move it in the right direction. It has had a few. I'm hoping that it gets some more, which would change my opinion on it. But right now, I'm going to finish this one up as a wait for a sale. But all right, that's going to be it for me for this one. You guys take care, and I will catch you in the next one.